Deputies sentenced to federal prison for torturing two black men last year. One sentenced for 20 years, the other for 17 and a half. Both members of a self-proclaimed 6-person Goon Squad, known in the area for their use of excessive force and aggressive tactics.
This is a message to all racist police officers in every department in Mississippi and throughout the United States of America, that beware that justice will be coming your way.
According to court documents, Hunter Elward, Jeffrey Middleton, and 4 other officers broke into a home without a warrant. They shouted racial slurs, physically and sexually assaulted their victims, Michael Corey Jenkins and Eddie Parker, and planted fake evidence on them. All 6 entered guilty pleas in August. The 2 victims survived, but the torture that night culminated with Elward shooting Jenkins in the mouth.
This squad never go away.
Jenkins is still in pain, but today he feels safer with Elward off the street.
Feels somewhat safe, like sun coming out.
For many in Mississippi, the case is reminiscent of a frightening racist past.
Goon Squad, your day has come.
Today in court, Elward addressed the men directly, saying, "I am so sorry for what I did."
I forgive that part, but other than that, he still did, you know what I'm saying?
The other 4 officers will be sentenced later this week. Meanwhile, the local district attorney is now reviewing cases involving the Goon Squad. But that process can take months or even years. Antonia Hilton, NBC News, New York.
My name is Malik Shabazz, and I am the lead attorney for Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker, who are the victims of the notorious Rankin County, Mississippi Goon Squad, who on January 24th, 2023, committed the now notorious criminal acts of breaking into the place where Eddie and Michael were staying and holding them hostage for several hours and torturing them and beating them, and, assaulting them sexually, committing a whole host of atrocities and human rights violations, which culminated with Deputy Hunter Elward shooting Michael Jenkins in the mouth and almost killing him. These deputies are Hunter Elward, Christian Dedman, Brett McAlpin, Jeffrey Middleton, Daniel Opdyke, and Joshua Hartsfield. They are, Hartsfield is a Richland County, Mississippi deputy, along for the ride for the infamous Goon Squad, who had a logo, who had a history of running the night shift, and who had a history of ensuring that violence and intimidation was a way of life in the Rankin County Police Department. But it all came tumbling and crashing down when Michael Jenkins was shot in the mouth and Attorney Shabazz became his attorney and became Eddie Parker's attorney, and everything got exposed, which ultimately led to these officers being charged by the Department of Justice at the behest of the victims' attorneys. They were charged by the Department of Justice, ultimately pled guilty, and cumulatively they were given 132 years behind bars for their crime. I was asked to work on this case by a Black Panther and a community organizer by the name of Sherelle Potts in Jackson, Mississippi, who I had worked with for some years in the movement, and also closely on the Emmett Till case, where the year before in 2022, I was attorney for Emmett Till and their family in efforts to pursue justice against Carol and Bryant. Therefore, I was asked to work on this case, which seemed like a long shot case in the beginning. Michael Jenkins was charged with an assault on a police officer and they had drugs on them. They had planted drugs on Michael Jenkins and claims that he had methamphetamines on him and that he had shot the police officer. And while he was in the hospital, I went to work on the case. And by God's grace, here we are now. I worked closely with his parents, worked closely with him once he got out the hospital, really worked closely with Brother Eddie Parker. And we've come a long way in justice. Our sentences that we received from Judge Thomas Lee in federal court in Mississippi of 132 years were the longest criminal sentences given out in any police case in United States history. Never before has a police officer in the state of Mississippi received 1 year or a day in jail for harming a Black person. But Christian Dedman, in this case, got 40 years in prison. Brett McAlpin, a supervisor in the Rankin County Sheriff's Department, got 37 years. Hunter Elwood got 20 years. Daniel Opdyke got 17 and a half years. Jeffrey Middleton got 17 and a half years. And Joshua Hartsfield out of Richland, he got 10 years. And this shocked many across the nation and Mississippi. But this shows that if you stand up for justice and you fight, you can win. And also it shows that when you get a Black Panther as your lawyer that knows what he's doing and is trained by Khalid Muhammad and in another sense, Johnny Cochran and some of the great attorneys in America, that you're going to get a strong result. And that's what happened in this case. They live in Rankin County. And by living in Rankin County, there's a code of enforcement that Rankin County is for whites and that across the border in Jackson-Hines County is for Blacks. The Goon Squad enforces the racial hierarchy. So they went in that night to give a message to the household that area was not for Blacks and for them. That's how the Goon Squad went to work. Kind of like the Night Riders or the Ku Klux Klan. So if you're Black in Rankin, and you don't necessarily have to be Black, or many of their victims are all races. But if you're Black and you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, here's what can happen. And this is what did happen. McAlpin appealed, and maybe some others will appeal. McAlpin got 37 years. He's appealing, but his appeal is going to be futile. For once, the law was applied. For once, the police officers were treated like any other person and also held accountable because they are police officers. Judge knew what he was doing. He gave out the right sentence, and the appeals will be futile. Ultimately, Rankin County Sheriff Brian Bailey is responsible. We are the civil lawyers for the victims. We are fighting for Rankin County to compensate Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker for the wrongs they have done to them and for wrongs done to others in Rankin County. whom it will be revealed that we represent, and for Rankin County to be permanently changed. Rankin County has tried to dismiss our civil lawsuit in federal court, claiming that Brian Bailey, the sheriff, has immunity from prosecution, qualified immunity. The court has rejected this. And with the help of Jenkins and Parker's attorneys, myself and attorney Trent Walker, also on our team is the great pioneer attorney Gregory Latimer, we will continue to defeat Brian Bailey's claims of qualified immunity. Rankin County will be held accountable. Brian Bailey will be held accountable. Just as it did in the criminal case, justice shall prevail in the civil case. They have tried to resolve this with the victims, but they are not serious enough in their efforts to resolve this with the victims where this case will be resolved or settled at this time. They must respect Black life. They must be accountable for running a criminal operation for many years and being grossly negligent or actually consciously aware of all the harm they've caused to many, including Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker. So the struggle continues in court until this is resolved and until all the claims in Rankin County are resolved. And right now they can count on the attorney at war, Malik Shabazz, and Black Lawyers for Justice, attorney Trent Walker, and our team to give the enemy hell legally until justice is done. We must continue the struggle against police brutality across this nation by any means necessary. We must intensify the struggle against police brutality as this critical issue is an inherent part of our liberation struggle. The Black Panther Party of the 1960s and their 10-point program gives special emphasis to police brutality, and the Black Panther Party, Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale, come out of the womb of the struggle against police brutality. The new Black Panther Party, since its origin and inception, has been known as an organization that has been strong against police brutality. It is in the new Black Panther 10-point program. The new Black Panther Party must in this hour fulfill the mandate of its fathers, Huey P. Newton, the Honorable Huey P. Newton, the Honorable Bobby Seale, Eldridge Cleaver, George Jackson and Jonathan Jackson, and Assata Shakur. The new Black Panther Party must fulfill in this hour that mission. It must fulfill the mission of the Black Liberation Army. They must fulfill the will of Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad and Chairman Malik Zulu Shabazz and the Honorable Chairman Hashim Nzinga. This generation now must fulfill their role in taking the front line in the struggle against police brutality. And there's much work to be done. Not enough was done in 2020 by Black nationalist forces in the rebellions and the action that went down in 2020. This must be improved on politically. This is not a legal-only struggle. Yes, Attorney Shabazz is on the front lines in this police brutality struggle. And there are other attorneys on the front line in this struggle. But this is not a legal fight that could be won in courtroom only. It must be fought on all fronts. And so my final message is that while the attorneys do their job, they must receive 100% support from Black Panther and Black liberation organizations. We should have police patrols regularly by now. We should have serious education and work amongst the people in the streets that are fighting police brutality, organizing Black youth into cadres to stop killing themselves and to defend the community against the police. So I will close and say that I will continue to maintain my job right now. And not only fighting against Rankin County, but fighting the other cases I have. But I am a seasoned veteran. And if those who are reading this message, if they desire for some real comprehensive liberation action against police brutality all over this country, if they have learned enough over the years to listen to me, I pray God they do. I believe that this struggle will advance if those that are hearing this will listen to what I'm saying and even accept my guidance.